Legendary actor, rapper, and activist Tupac Shakur will be honored today with a posthumous star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. His sister, Sekyiwa Shakur, will accept the award. For more on this, I want to bring in our man, Kevin Powell. He's in the house. He's a hip-hop historian and an author of an upcoming Tupac Shakur biography. Kevin, it's good to see you again, man. So we were just, Emery and I were heavily engrossed in a conversation.
It's the standard greatest of all time rapper conversation, which I've been witness to far too many late night conversations. And I will preface this by saying I am not a hip hop head, but I'm married to one.
Yeah,
which means I've heard all the arguments.
As we were coming out of commercial and we were coming into the segment, we were like arguing with each other about it. So the question becomes, I think, for everybody who loves and remembers Pac, why has it taken so long for him to be honored with this star?
Well, I mean, I think one, there are only 11 rap artists, including Queen Latifah and most recently Ice-T, that who actually have stars. So part of the problem is the acceptance of hip hop. Even as we celebrate 50 years since the birth of hip hop this year, there's still some folks who don't believe that hip hop is part of American culture. And that's just not a fact, as you both know, whether you're a hip hop head or not. If you say I'm good, if you say diss, just the language you use, it's hip hop permeates everything. And so I think that that's part of it. I think because of the controversial nature of his life when he was alive, he died at 25 tragically. We know that there was a number of criminal cases against him when he was alive. I think there's a lot of factors that played a role in it. I think a lot of people also just didn't really understand fully who he was. And I think that's still an issue. But as I just literally came back from Africa and Europe, y'all, and everywhere I went as I traveled on my honeymoon, Tupac was called the king. I kid you not. This is a global icon. He's the most important hip-hop icon we've ever had in the 50 years of hip-hop.
So I think a lot of people are not going to understand because they're going to sort of base this on his music, and they're going to say, you know, he had 5 years of solid music. That's not a particularly long career. This is my take on Tupac, and you can tell me if you agree, right? That, yes, it's kind of about the music, but I actually don't think don't kill me, I don't think he was a premier lyricist, right? I think he had some bright spots. But it's about the entire image, right? And what I liked about Tupac, and it's unfortunate there's a lot of focus on his death and the East Coast, West Coast rivalry and all sort of stuff. What I really liked about him is that he showed that rappers, but also black men, could be more than one thing at the same time. You know, this is a kid who went to like arts high school. I see him as like a Glee Club kid who took ballet and Shakespeare. So he's a poet, and yes, he was a rapper. Yes, he was an actor. It's not just about the music, and that's why I think people were lobbying so hard to get him this star.
Well, a couple things I would say. Let's not forget the Beatles were only actually together in their heyday for 6 years. So you're talking about 5 years for Tupac. And I would argue that Pac's impact on hip hop is as big as the Beatles' impact on rock and roll music. Number two, if Donald Trump can have a star, he does. You know, even if it's been defaced a few times. I mean, Tupac was a phenomenal actor. We don't know the kind of actor he would have been. As I'm working on his biography right now on Tupac Shakur that'll be out sometime next year, I can tell you that, you know, I believe that he would have been an even greater actor. I believe he's someone who we'd be talking about on the level of a Denzel Washington, a Robert De Niro, a Marlon Brando. But he was a star. I mean, someone who was strikingly handsome, incredibly charismatic. I agree with you, actually, Emery. I don't think that he was the greatest rapper ever. I don't even think he touches his contemporary Biggie Smalls, but he had great moments like Dear Mama. There's very few songs like Dear Mama in the lexicon of popular music, period, that is so honest, so vulnerable, and so powerful, and so resonates with people to this day. And again, I'm going to bring it back to my trips overseas. People are saying that Pac is important to them as Bob Marley globally. That's saying a lot for someone. 5 years. I'm not saying he was Bob Marley, but I think in his own way, if you take the combination of Bob Marley, Bob Dylan, Joni Mitchell, he was a fan of Don McLean's song Vincent, about Vincent van Gogh, Marvin Gaye, what he represented. I think all those things make Pac a star, which is why I think he is worthy of this star in Hollywood.
I love what Anne-Marie said and what you're saying, Kevin, which is it's so incredibly important to remember. A lot of people, when you ask them about Tupac, they will either remember some of the violence and misogyny in his lyrics or thug life or the way he tragically died. But what you both are talking about was this total and complete individual. He was more than just those things. And he exhibited that, as you point out. He was I said to Anne-Marie, like, I thought, my personal feeling was that if Tupac never rapped again and just focused on his acting career, he would have been an Academy Award winner.
That's what Kevin basically just said. Yeah, I agree.
I believe that. I mean, rap, we got to understand hip hop was a way, hip hop was created by working class African Americans, West Indians, and Latinx folks in New York City. Poor people, the same poor people Dr. King told us not to forget, created hip hop. Tupac was born uptown in Harlem, lived in the Bronx where hip hop came from. And so hip hop rapping was his way to get out. But his real passion as he was training as an actor in Harlem as a child, and then in Baltimore at the School of the Arts, as you talked about with Jada Pinkett, that was his calling, I believe. But rapping was the faster money, honestly, at the time. And that's what he did, what a lot of people did.
Yeah.
Kevin, always great talking to you. Look forward to the biography. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Have a blessed day.